TCI is brought to you by Forestry, sire of 43 stakes winners, including multiple Grade 1 winner Shackelford, winner of the 2012 Met Mile.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Breeders' Cup. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. This is our recap show, so we're going to jump right in. Joel, a lot of good racing to talk about over the weekend, but let's start off with the only win in your in race. It was the Shoemaker Mile. You know, we went into this weekend hoping that we would see some really good turf milers. I don't think we were disappointed.
No, John, for North American standards, I thought we saw a really deep group here, and what I liked was there was a lot of speed, quality speed in the race. When you talk about Liberian Freighter and, you know, Little Mike, obviously your pace setters there. It was a legitimate pace, and you also obviously had the quality closers in here when you talk about Mr. Commons and Geronimo. So let's pick it up here at the top of the stretch. You go to the Twin Spires TV race replay here, and you see Little Mike, you know, with all that class, fresh off a Grade 1 win on Derby Day, leading him into the stretch, but he was pressed through an honest pace, and here come the closers, John. You know, I thought Mr. Commons got in a little trouble there. Mike Smith had to, you know, swing him out and wait for an opportunity to do that, but he just doesn't show that same punch that Geronimo shows right here. I tell you what, Geronimo, that turn of foot here with Garrett Gomez finishing up, he loves this turf course, John. Big performance for him to break through now with the Grade 1 win. I mean, let's talk about this horse. He's a four-time Grade 2 winner. Finally gets that Grade 1 win, John, but he's been one of California's top turf milers over the course of the last couple of years. Now he earns that free berth into the Breeders' Cup. He won't have to travel far either. It's Santa Anita. He just now needs to stay in form. And I tell you what, from North American turf standards, he will be one of the top American milers you would figure, along with Tour, Lure, and some others.
All right, let's stay with the replays, and let's stay in California. I want to talk about the Triple Bend. You know, the Factor returns in here, and we thought that he would get pressed by Comet to the Top. Comet to the Top scratches out of this race to go into another one. Joel, I thought that changed the whole race.
I really thought it was the Factor's race, you know, to be won. Once Comet to the Top came out, I mean, he was the real quality speed early that might could give the Factor some problems on the front end. I thought the Factor had a, you know, was an honest enough pace in here, John, but, you know, from a class standpoint, the horse that was pressing him really wasn't eyeballing him and really didn't have the class to stay with him on the far turn. So the Factor, to me, no excuses. Now, he finishes up to the wire in here, but watch Camp Victory just explode here as we go to the race replay from Twin Spires TV, John. And we pick it up at the top of the stretch. We see the Factor in his usual spot on the front end here, John. But I tell you what, the Factor's finishing here, John, but he's just not doing enough to get the job done, and it takes a lifetime best performance by Camp Victory here on the outside closing. You see this horse win and just dominate, and it was a fast race, a 112 buyer speed figure. I mean, this colt was truly a breakthrough performance by this former claimer for Mike Mitchell, a trainer that had brain surgery the day before. So it's a feel-good story across the board. But now Camp Victory, a horse that was a Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint horse last year, looks like now he may be a Breeders' Cup Sprint contender on the dirt that was on the cushion track. We're going to have to see how he likes Santa Anita now going forward at the end of the year.
Well, another thing we're going to have to see is, does he land on the TCI top 5 for sprinters? Joel, let's jump right in there. Start in at number 5. We see the Factor, the horse that got defeated by Camp Victory. You got him at number 5.
Yeah, John, the Factor, again, he just has a propensity to disappoint when you expect a big performance. I really thought when Comet to the Top scratched out, you know, the Factor would be able to control the pace in reasonable fractions, finish up, be his race to lose, and again, he disappoints. He finishes to the wire, but he disappoints in this race. I know he won the Malibu, and I know he broke as a maiden impressively at Santa Anita, so that's a benefit for him in this sprint division, but 6 furlongs, when there's other quality speed in the race, I really question whether or not the Factor is a top contender. I'm going to put him in the 5 spot.
All right, let's jump to number 4. This is a horse that maybe not everybody has heard of. He has not won a stake yet, and that is EMCEE. Very talented. You got him in at number 4.
He's extremely talented. Here's a colt in his 3rd lifetime start. They, you know, run him against the likes of Caleb's Posse and Jackson Bend. But I just think at the 6 furlong distance, John, he's brilliant enough, and I loved his allowance win last time out at Belmont. To me, they're freshening him up now, and he's a horse that I really think is set up to have a huge summer in New York, especially the Saratoga meet, especially when you look at, you know, horses like Caleb's Posse on the sidelines, injured. Other horses like Shackelford stretching out. Jackson Bend, probably more of a 7 furlong type horse. I just think at 6 furlongs, EMCEE's a colt that could be a big-time contender, that sprint division at the end of the year.
Joel, at number 3, you have the only 3-year-old on the list, Triniberg.
Yeah, Triniberg, I think, has just dominated this division all year, John. I expected Discreet Dancer and some others to be prominent in that 3-year-old sprint division, but we've had injuries that have occurred to the 3-year-olds and the older horses. You know, we talked about Caleb's Posse, other older sprinters that you won't find in our top 5 but Triniberg, just a brilliantly talented horse, John. His accolades this year speak for themselves. My question is, after a long campaign at the end of the year, will he still have it in him to take that early pressure from these quality older horses in California and still have something to finish with and stretch to do what it's going to take to win a race like the Breeders' Cup Sprint?
Well, Joel, a horse that he could be facing is Roman Threat, a very talented horse, but lightly raced.
Yeah, John, he's one of these Bob Baffert sprinters. I think he's Bob's best sprinter for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I think he's better than the Factor. I mean, you're talking about lightly raced gelding. Didn't get started, he was 4 years old, but in his second lifetime start, Bob had the confidence to run this half to Indian Blessing. So he's bred extremely well. He's bred to be this kind of horse. Run him against champion AMAZOMBIE in the Potrero Grande, which I really think is going to be a key race when you look back, at the Breeders' Cup Sprint, John, because it's held at Santa Anita. He only gets beat 3/4 of a length in his second lifetime start against AMAZOMBIE. So this colt is a runner, and you're going to see him next in the Bing Crosby, where he's probably going to face AMAZOMBIE again at Del Mar.
Well, you just mentioned AMAZOMBIE. No surprises here. The reigning champion has the #1 spot, Joel. I think that's the right choice.
You have to have him #1. He's just so consistent, John. He's run well, in every race this year, even the ones, where, he came up short. Obviously we know he ran Derby Day against Shackelford, came up short there. But AMAZOMBIE is a colt that loves Santa Anita, and he just fits so well in these Breeders' Cup type races because he's going to get that pace to run at late, and he runs well enough at Santa Anita. He belongs to be #1 on the list.
All right, thank you, Joel. Before we go, we got to talk about 2 races at Iowa. That's right.
Yeah.
We laughed about it on Friday, but Joel, but they were some seriously good races. Let's talk about the Cornhusker first. We wanted to see how good these Dan horses were. Wise Dan second at Churchill. Now Successful Dan second here.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a rematch of the Ali Sheba here, and Fort Larned really got to control the pace, and that was the difference. He's a brilliantly fast horse, John, and when you're able to control the pace like he was able to down the backstretch, just really put Successful Dan in a bad spot to come get him late. He finished up with plenty left, and I mean, they came home, fast. I mean, they finished 147 and change. He gets a 108 Beyer speed figure. That's his third 108 speed figure on the Beyer system in his last 4 starts.
Wow.
That just shows you this horse is for real, John. I think going to Saratoga, and then down the line, that Breeders' Cup Classic division, we talk about Bodemeister, you want to talk about Game On Dude and all these fast horses. Throw him in the mix as a pace factor. Fort Larned impressed.
Well, I'll tell you another horse you got to throw in the mix is Hansen, Joel. He really, it wasn't a tough group that he beat, but he was very impressive getting the job done.
Yeah, Hansen, another impressive winner. I mean, just a grade 3 race, but I thought it was a very good prep. Again, going to New York. We talked about Fort Larned. A good race for him now. Going to New York for the summertime, same thing for Hansen, John. We knew he'd probably win easily. I mean, he laid over this field.
Right.
He wins by 10, runs a respectable time. I just think it was such a great prep to now go to the Jim Dandy and Travers. So I think Hansen is set up to be a very intriguing horse. He'll face Gemologist, another fast horse. You have Painter in there, who has good pace speed. You have Teeth of the Dog that's on top of his game. Your winner of the Dwyer of the weekend. Should be a great race.
All right, thank you, Joel. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back on Friday. We have an exciting weekend to talk about, including the Hollywood Gold Cup and also the Summit of Speed.